They've traveled more than 2,000 miles looking for a better life, coming by foot, trains, boats, and buses. Refugees fleeing persecution and facing hardships along the journey, only to wind up in a camp appropriately named the Jungle, where sanitation and government help are almost non-existent.
They haven't been able to come up with a very good policy in dealing with the size of the camp and the people within the camp.
Located in Calais, France, the Jungle sits a mere 20 miles from the United Kingdom, where many of the refugees living in the camp hope to resettle.
People come here as a last resort. It's 20 miles from England, and most of the people come here thought they'd be welcomed by England, and here they're stuck. It's suspended agony.
6,000 refugees live here in the Jungle, by far one of the worst refugee camps across France. But CBN partner Convoy of Hope is on the ground working here, planting churches and giving them necessities to try and help improve their lives.
The main problem these people have are social, physical and spiritual. And thanks to the orphans of CBN, we'll be able to provide stoves, food, ponchos, tents, all sorts of stuff.
Since the summer, the Jungle has grown from 3,000 to 6,000 people, with around 150 arriving each day.
We've been able to start our first church here in the camp. There are 18 mosques in this camp. There is one Orthodox church, and then now we actually have our first evangelical church within the camp. The first service we had about 20 people show up for service, and now they're running about 60 that attend on Saturdays.
But a church is not always welcome in a place like the Jungle. In an attempt to stop people from defacing the church tent, Convoy of Hope has built sturdier shelters around it for Christian families to live. In addition to providing a place to stay, they also offer protection for the church. But even with the shelters, life here is anything but easy.
Their living conditions are very rough. There are almost no sanitary conditions whatsoever. There are certain porta potties that are set up, but they're not cleaned very often, so sometimes it gets piled pretty high. Their showers are actually just hoses that are set up with a couple of different nozzles on them, and then people just squat down. I mean, it's in the wide open area, and people just squat down and just wash themselves.
People are allowed one shower per week, but according to one Syrian refugee, the experience is far from cleansing.
Sometimes you can stay for 1 or 2 hours, and the shower gonna be only for 5 minutes. And sometimes you don't get your chance, and you have to wait until the second or third day.
Of the 6,000 refugees in the Jungle, only about 300 are Syrian, with others coming from North Africa and across the Middle East. One English-speaking Syrian describes the conditions he fled in his home country.
The situation there, it's become worse day after day because no one knows how it's gonna end. Because in Syria, when you go out to your house to buy something, you can't be sure if you're gonna come back or not. It's miserable there.
For these refugees, the Paris terror attack served as a painful reminder of life in their home countries.
The people here was so shocked for what happened in Paris because all of them, they came from countries who used to live the same situation.
The refugees expressed their condolences for the victims.
We are sorry, very, very sorry about what's happened in France and Europe. We are very sad about that.
Refugees we encountered understand that Western countries fear them, but insist they're victims of ISIS, not members.
Terrorism don't have a religion, don't have a nationality. It's such a sick kind of thoughts these terrorists think. It's not fair to say, oh, these people are ISIS or they are terrorists.
One British humanitarian living among those in the Jungle agrees most refugees are not threats.
They're all running from ISIS or something like it. These people are not dangerous. The majority of people here are genuine and lovely.
Convoy of Hope's Michael McNamee says, even if ISIS members are here, they too need to be reached with the gospel message.
If you were to ask me today, are there ISIS in this camp? I would not be surprised if there were, but they're in the minority. And surely the Lord that we love, that Jesus rose from the dead, loves everybody. He can also give us an opportunity to touch these people. They're in the minority, and we must not look at these extremists and forget about 97% of the people who are in genuine need.
Convoy of Hope's church planting and aid services provide a much-needed light in a very dark place.
All over this camp, Muslims are hearing about the gospel of Jesus Christ for the first time. They're desperate, they're vulnerable, they're open, they want somebody to care for them. Kindness is a language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see. And thank you, CPN, for all that you've done here and all that you're going to do. Let's give in the name of Jesus. Let's God do the work.
No one knows how long France will allow this refugee camp to remain here. But as winter approaches, please remember to keep the people of the jungle in your prayers, as their conditions are only getting much worse. Reporting from Calais, France, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.